What's up YouTube, JP here, and in this video we're going to fix stick drift on a PS4 controller. So without further delay, let's dive in. So stick drift is a right pain and it's so annoying when it happens to you. And unlike the Nintendo Switch, the PS4 controllers are a little bit more difficult to change. So on the Nintendo Switch, you take apart the Joy-Con, you unplug the old analog stick, you plug the new one in and you put it back together. Nice and simple. Also, the Nintendo Switch gives you the option to calibrate the analog sticks, so they're smack bang in the centre and you get no stick drift whatsoever. So on to the PS4 controllers. How are they more difficult? Well, for starters, the analog stick is actually soldered to the circuit board. So you will actually need a hot air workflow station and a soldering iron to get them installed. And after I installed mine, they were still slightly off center. But not only that, there is no way to configure these new analog sticks. So to better understand things, let's have a look at an analog stick for the PS4 and see how it works. So this is a typical analog stick for the PS4 pad. Now each stick has two potentiometers, one for the X-axis and one for the Y-axis. And as you're moving the stick up and down, that resistance value will change. As you can see, it's not very sturdy. So let's get it soldered to a board so we can see it working in real time. So what I've done is I've just soldered it to this perf board. It's crude, but it'll do the job. Now one of those potentiometers I've connected these two wires to. Now of course this is only going to show the value when I move the stick in one direction, but it's going to give us a good idea. Now of course we're going to need something to measure those values. So out comes the multimeter. Now I'm just going to twist the wires onto the end of the prongs. Obviously if it was permanent you'd need to solder it, but we're just testing here. We're just trying to see those values and see it actually working. Now let's go on the basis that this potentiometer has a maximum resistance of 10k. So when it's dead in the center, it should be around 5k. So as you can see here, when you push the stick up, the resistance goes up. And when you push the stick down, the resistance will go down. Now obviously in an ideal world, when it's resting in the middle, it should be at 5.00. Obviously this isn't the case, and I'm not surprised because this analog stick was actually removed from the controller because it had really bad stick drift. Now unfortunately there's no way to calibrate them, not on the PS4 or in software on the PC. They're actually calibrated from factory and they're not always perfect. So how can we fix this? So I started searching on the internet as you do to find a solution, and to my surprise ExtremeRate came to the rescue. They actually sell stick drift fix kits for the PS4 controllers, and they're actually extremely simple. They've got two adjustable resistor pots, and what they're actually doing is correcting that discrepancy that we seen earlier on in the test. Now I just want to give a shout out to ExtremeRate for sending this stick drift fix kit. They've also given me a 10% discount code, so you can save 10% on the ExtremeRate website. Just use code ARG10 to save 10% today. And they don't only sell PlayStation 4 stuff, they sell Switch stuff, PS5, Xbox, and even some retro stuff for the Game Boy. So let's have a look at this stick drift fix kit from ExtremeRate. Then we'll get it installed on my PS4 controller, and then we'll connect the controller to the PC, go to a website which actually gives you the exact positionings of the analog stick when it's in rest, and then we can adjust those pots to get it smack bang in the center. Now a link to this website will be in the description below so you can check it out as well. But for now, let's have a look at this kit. So this kit is actually quite small, so it comes in a nice little clear ExtremeRate bag. So let's get this emptied out and have a look, see what's inside. So first of all, you get a little toolkit. You get a Phillips screwdriver, a spudger tool, and then a ceramic screwdriver. More on that later. I don't actually know what these black stickers are for. I didn't even use them when I installed it, but they come with it. I'm sure if you read the instructions they'll tell you what they are. So of course we have two of the actual stick drift fix kits here. Obviously one for each analog stick. Now these are quite small, they're on flexible PCBs or like a ribbon cable, but there's just two adjustable pots on each one. Obviously one for the X-axis and one for the Y-axis. It's kind of hard to get it to focus here, but yeah, there you can see them. You've got your two adjustable pots on the top, and then obviously the 6 holes that would get soldered to the back of the analog stick. So let's get it fitted, and we're going to start off by taking the controller apart. Now I'm speeding up the footage because this isn't an install guide, but if you do need an install guide, ExtremeRate has you covered. So what I'm actually going to do is put one of these little boards onto the back of the circuit board, just to show you the exact positioning of where it goes. So as you can see, this is how it should line up. Now what I'm doing here is not necessary. I'm actually taking the whole board out. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to use my microscope. Now you do not need to use a microscope because it's not that difficult. The points are not that small. But by using my microscope, I can actually record the footage and give you a much better view. So this is the microscope footage that I recorded. And as you can see, here are 3 of the points that we want to connect to. So just by putting the kit across these 3 points, putting a little bit of flux, and then putting some solder on your soldering iron and then touching each of these points, will fix it in place and make a good connection. As you can see here with the first one, it's just a case of touching it across the top. The flux will do all the work for you. Now of course you'll need to do this for all 6 points, 12 in total for both sticks. Now once both have been fitted, you want to put the controller back together to this point. Don't put the battery in there because you won't be able to get to those adjustment screws. So I'll put it back together this far. I've plugged the USB cable into the top of the controller, and then I'm going to plug it into the PC. We're going to use the ceramic screwdriver to adjust those pots. Now obviously each analog stick has 2 parts, one for the X and one for the Y axis, and then you want to turn them in very small increments. So once you've got it connected to your PC, you're going to go to this website called Gamepad Tester. Again, I'll put a link in the description below so you can check it out. So once you've connected your PS4 pad to the PC with a USB cable, push any button and it should recognise it, and you should see this screen. Now as you can see, the right thumbstick is actually slightly down and to the left. So what I'm doing at the moment is actually adjusting those 2 pots on the back of the right analog stick. As you can see, it's going all over the place, and that's not because I'm touching the analog stick itself, it's because I'm not adjusting the pot in very small increments. I'm a bit too harsh, I moved it a little bit too much, and as you can see, it's gone all the way up. So what I'm doing is I'm getting it right bang in the center as far as left and right goes. Then I'll adjust the other one that deals with the up and down. So as you can see, we're getting very close to the center now. And once it is smack bang in the center, then we can put the controller back together, and hey presto, happy days, no more stick drift. It's actually a lot harder and more expensive, as you need a hot air workflow station, to actually replace the whole analog stick itself. What I would suggest to you guys is, if you have a PS4 controller with stick drift, test it in that software from that website that I've put a link in the description for, because if it's hovering at an exact point, even when you do the flick test and you're flicking the analog stick all over the place, if it's always going back to that same point, I think the best way to do this fix is just to get the ExtremeRate kit. Yes, there is still soldering involved, but it's nowhere near as bad as actually changing the whole thing. So I hope you found the video helpful and you have a better understanding of the PS4 analog sticks. So before I end the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads, because we have another PS4 controller video coming real soon. Here's a sneak peek and it looks absolutely fantastic. I'm JP, you've been watching Alien Retro Gaming, and I'll catch you in the next one.